Everyone, welcome. It's so good to see you, and I'm really glad to be here because it's actually been probably about 4 or 5 years since I've been on campus when I was teaching here full time. And I've been teaching online since then, but it's nice to be back with all of you and see the excitement of Murrow Symposium again. It's pretty neat. Um, I'm going to be walking around a little, I think, because like I said, we are going to be hands-on. There we go. We are going to be a little hands-on as we do things together. It's going to be individual work, but it's going to be for a good purpose. I think I'll come down in the front. So let me just give you a quick who I am. Ryan Risenmay, and as I said, I used to be here full-time as a clinical professor after working in industry for 18 years prior to that with Microsoft and startup companies over on the west side. So the Puget sounds very familiar to me and the excitement that's there with startup companies. And I brought that business experience with me when I came here in the integrated strategic communication track. And then since then, for family interests and needs to support my elderly in-laws, we went down to Tri-Cities, and that's why I've been teaching online since then. Just a little bit about me. But like I said, I just love teaching. I love being part of Murrow. It's a great institution here. You have got a great thing going, and glad to be back. So I have since going to where I am now, which is at a Department of Energy National Laboratory for Science, which is completely different than my previous high-tech industry experience. I've since learned that so many people out in the world need to know better what their story really is and how to share it effectively. And especially if you can think about the past few years with science and the need for sharing effective science or being clear and translating science into terms that people can really understand well, you can kind of imagine where my life has been for the past 6 years, right? Through a pandemic and through other conditions, interest with climate change or not, and how to help the different groups understand a dynamic Earth and what we're all going through. So there's just so many things about where I'm at now that are pretty exciting as well. And I've learned that I could take what I was doing at the university and take it right there to a national laboratory with 4,000 scientists, PhDs, very smart in their craft, and yet still don't know quite how to communicate that effectively. So, and then after arriving at that decision of what we could do for them, I realized that organizationally, the whole laboratory needed a little bit better picture about who we are collectively, how we go about the work, and so a lot of my work has shifted to organizational storytelling, not just individual storytelling. Anyway, all that to say, that's my last few years while still teaching and seeing what you all need as you get ready to enter the workforce. So I'm excited to bring this to you today about you, yourself, being the message. And you can make your best pitch for whatever those situations may be. Okay, so to get started with that, let me just share. Yeah, I dropped it. Okay. I want to share with you a picture that I just took 11 days ago. This picture, let me just walk you through what you're seeing on this picture, okay? I'll walk it around so you can see it a little closely, but you can see, actually I should probably turn it portrait because that's better. With your phone, that's better, right? What you're seeing is my daughter, dressed in white, standing in front of a building that was erected in 1884. You can see that she's got a beautiful veil, kind of cascades down her back. You see how that goes? What you can't maybe see is all the fine details, the little pearls that are woven into that veil. And it wraps around the side of her to the front. And I'm getting a little emotional thinking about it. You can see her train that flows from behind and it comes around in sort of a half shell right in front of her. And you can see my wife standing next to her, dressed in green, which brings out her eyes. You can see snow on the ground and piled up. And it reminds me of 31 years ago when my wife and I got married in the very same place. And there was snow on the ground when we did that too. You can see that, right? Can you see that? It is a wonderful moment for me. And I'm still getting a little emotional thinking about it. Okay, what did I just do? I created a story. I'm going to voice it so we can get it on the recording. Thank you. I did create a story. And I created a picture for you to see, didn't I? I tried. Yes. I did make an emotional appeal to my audience. I didn't want to have to go there. I really didn't want to start getting emotional, but there is something about that that's worth noting, right? I don't want to be the crybaby or anything, but it's a pretty special moment in my life, and I like sharing it. That's another key thing. I like sharing that about my life and about what makes me who I am, or my whole family and what we're all about. The fact that that was 31 years ago, it's kind of like full circle moment, right, for a dad. So I hope you can appreciate what that is too. What else was packed into that maybe you were hearing without me even saying it? Anything? Oh, sorry. How much I care about the moment. Yeah. And of course, the people. I have a connection with those people, some of the strongest connections, I think. Yeah. So, oh yes, thanks. Thanks. So her comment, if you didn't hear, was, I gave you time to process with me on that and envision it, and I paused and let that sink in from time to time, right? Something like that. It's true. And part of it was I was choking up, so I had to pause. So anything else? Yes. Oh, okay. Oh, thank you for that comment. So he says, I gave context as well for all of you to personally process and understand that. Like, if you didn't really understand what the veil was in that dress arrangement and how I described it cascading around her, I noted those things that day. So these are from my memory. And by bringing you into that, I'm painting a better picture for you to understand the context and what meant a lot to me. So, and you understand it better, even if you've never worn a veil or whatever, right? Whatever that may be. Do you have another thought? Oh, okay. Well, thanks, everyone. That's the exercise. So you can understand a little bit of me presenting an important thing so that you can connect to it, right? And there was so much in that. Oops, I left my clicker over here. There was so much in that was more than just me and my story. It was, what do you need to take from that? What do you need to process? And that's a key to trying to let your audience take over from where you've left, where you set them up, right? To take lessons from that, principles from that, and that's connection through story. Okay, so what I was doing with just a little bit of blank sheet paper is I was trying to put you into a space where whatever your picture of that scene is, I can show you the actual picture of my wife and my daughter. It's on my phone, it's my lock screen. But you can imagine that you end up being the message when you're painting a picture like that. And then you're probably going to say, okay, yeah, fine, but am I really? What am I going to talk about? Maybe I took the easy road by sharing something very emotional, and it's easy to kind of paint the picture of a family moment, but there are things that we're going to go through together that I hope will help you to figure out, what are you going to talk about? What is your personal story, and how does that take you into a journey in life, especially professionally? Because sometimes that's a hard bridge to make between your personal stuff and the professional stuff. I'm going to show you that it's possible really well, and you build that connection. People trust when you build that with them. So why pitch yourself? There are going to be these moments, and maybe you kind of anticipated this. I just have a few on the board there There may be, I saw in the big hall, there's going to be some posters back there. Anyone here involved in those posters presenting? Okay, we got one poster presenter. Are you ready for that? Yeah, no? Okay. We're gonna cram and help you there. No, I'm sure you are actually. You've got a lot of information. That's why you have the opportunity to be there. You just maybe need your thoughts organized. You're going to probably be going out into the workforce and look for funding for opportunities, whether it's as a researcher or as someone who bids for grants, opportunities to fund the work. So the pitch is important to get that opportunity away from maybe others that are very competitive and also good ideas, good compelling ideas. And of course you got to apply for a job. So how are you in that moment when they're going to ask you these questions to figure out who are you and are you the fit that we need in this kind of role? Yes, there's only so many questions they can ask along those lines or how deep they can go with that, but I think you're going to see the connection that you can establish builds that trust in return. Okay, I want to know about you. Maybe I can help tailor the message a little bit. So there's some questions I have for you. And again, if anything rings a bell, maybe you jot a few notes down. Just jot a note down if it's something that you think is worth remembering about yourself through this too, okay? So what is your role? How many here are students? Good, 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 the majority. How many are researchers as well as being students? Okay, I wasn't sure because, this is an open forum. Anyone across campus can come and guess. So there could have been scientists that are in our midst as well. I wanted to make sure about that, or other social scientists or whatever. How about anyone already starting in roles in your profession as you're here? Early career? Yeah, we do have a few, yeah. How about, who would say they are a communicator? Yeah, we should all really be raising our hands because we've done it since we learned how. So, but how effective, I guess, is the question, right? How many of you would say you are an influencer? You could take that however you want. It looks like we've got maybe 10% of the room that thinks, and there's a lot of so-so, maybe. How about organizer? Would you say that you're either a project organizer or group organizer, idea organizer? Okay. That comes with some opportunity for influence too, right? And even if maybe you haven't thought of it that way, it's a good opportunity to think that way going forward. All right, what responsibilities? Who's already been kind of a project lead with some direct reports with you, meaning they need to check in with you so that you know the whole deal? Great, that's a good percentage. Maybe a third. How about who has some visibility or interest towards inclusion and opportunity, which then also means, great, you have that in you, you have that drive in you, that's notable. And in the right way, you can convey that. How about anyone that's managing public affairs and image, brand image, or people image? Yeah, great. Okay, and then anyone preparing proposals yet? Have you had yeah, we've got a few of those. Nice, great. I hope your success goes up. May the odds be in your favor, And what about delivering reports? Who has had to develop and deliver a report to say this is what happened, this is what we gained from that, or could have done better with that, or lessons learned? And great. Okay, any other? Did I miss any really important thing about work, professional, where you're going? Okay, let's move on. What's your main goal being here today? Would you say that you want to be able to give better talks, posters, and presentations? How many? How many think that you could do better? I could do better. How about being able to work with the media? Is that going to be a part of what you anticipate? Okay, so imagine the pitch, the story pitch, the news, right? What's the hook? What's the essence of, I need to get that bottom line up front. I need to help them to really see that you don't want to miss this chance to cover this. What about being part of a learning program? Anyone with that? Yeah, okay, good. I like that too. That's why I have it there. 'Cause I love seeing learning programs develop and being a part of that. How about convincing others of the value of your work? Do you feel like you're going to need to be sure you know how to do that? Yeah. Yeah. We need to present ourselves really well, because who else is going to if we don't? I hope you do have advocates for you too. But engage skeptical audiences. Yeah, and it takes some coaxing and convincing sometimes. So the pitch, and again, getting the bottom line, the real value, noted very clearly for them, or how to refute other claims very clearly and cleanly. Communicate more effectively with peers and partners, of course, yeah. Any other did I miss? That's just kind of a general, trying to get a good read on you. What resources do you have at your disposal? So I think you could all say, yeah, I have my own reputation, and I probably am starting to think on behalf of an organization as well. Do you have your expertise and experience already to some degree? You're probably thinking, what's my resume look like? Is it strong enough at this point? I think there's ways, and I love working with resumes and with people, because you can sort of draw out other aspects that they're just not thinking about, that I know a hiring manager likes to see and understand. And do you own any communication channels? Do you? Owned channels? Social media at least, right? You have your own handles. So yes, you do. You have owned channels yourself. Are you earning other connection and communication and sharing? Are you earning that part? If you do it right and others want to share that, it's catchy, it's funny, or it's compelling and emotional and whatever. And do you have technology? We are probably the most enabled, right? Because of what's at our disposal, and it changes on a really weekly basis, it seems. Clay Shirky, I believe, his book, Here Comes Everybody. It's the idea that technology's in our hands now. You have the means to make video like no one else has before. So, okay. And what brings you here? Do you need to pitch yourself or your project immediately? How many think that, yeah, I have an imminent need to make sure I'm good with my pitch? I know at least one poster. Good. That's about a fourth of you. How many think, oh yeah, pretty soon, within a couple months? And then what about that next span of time from 3 to 6 months? I've got a little bit of time to work on this and get ready for that moment. It's taking you through the summer, right, into the fall. I've got more time than that, fall to maybe a year from now. And then still not sure. Anyone still not sure if you really need to know how to pitch yourself or what you're all about? Okay, you're not brave enough to say, but yeah, you're here, and that's good. I want you to be aware that there are going to be some obstacles that you're going to run into with this too, right? You probably already feel the intimidation factor to some degree. Yeah. And maybe the imposter syndrome feelings, or someone's got to be better than I am at this, or whatever it is. You might feel like I don't have enough training. I'm just thrown into a situation, and I just have to get through it. I don't know how. And why did they even do that to me? I wish I had training before this moment. What about funding? If you can't be funded, you can't really go anywhere with your ideas, and that's an obstacle. So you got to cross those hurdles. Convincing yourself, in person or online skills. Do you feel like you're going to need better skills or different? Let me rephrase that. Different skills online than in person? Yeah, there are actually. And how many are more inclined to be online than in person? And that's just a natural way that we are. And so I think that's worth acknowledging. When we do trainings, or when you think about your pitch, you need to keep your audience in mind. Are they in person or are they online as well? Because there's a dynamic with that exchange that's going to be different. You want to be as professional and facilitating as you can online with where they're coming from, rather than read the room, see who's really nodding or nodding off, And then sustaining this. You feel like maybe you can get some skill, but I don't know if I can keep that up. I can probably get my story started, but I don't know if I'm going to sustain that kind of discipline through my life, just kind of ride on what I've got. That's an issue. All right, now I started off by telling a story. Why do we care about story? Why do you care about story? Storytelling's been mentioned. I'm sure it's mentioned through many classes that you take. You've had some experience with storytelling. What have you seen? Why is story important to keep in mind with pitch? Yep. Stories drive human connection. Thank you. They do. They do. I'm going to show you how. Yeah. They communicate a message. That's right. Yes, back there. People love stories. Yeah. They engage. You guys are reading my mind. You got my next slides already down pat. Yeah. Okay, great. So she mentioned that there's a confidence factor when you enjoy being able to be free and tell a story. That's a more comfortable zone sometimes to be in, and you have confidence with that ability to deliver. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So you've noted that there's a shared value opportunity or shared, I mentioned the word connection, but value is even deeper than that. I appreciate that. Gets into the mind and the heart. Yeah, great. Yes? Stories stick. They stick with you. That's been proven. So you guys are all on the ball. Why stories? Because we love them, right? And it's just so well put to go through a narrative cycle. And when someone switches that up on you, that's okay. You pay attention when it's switched up on you. Maybe the ending scenes are given first before the rest of the story plays out. You've seen those kinds of movies or whatever too, right? Like, I'm so confused. And then it plays out and you totally see the connections at the end or whatever. It's a hook to get you into that story real fast. But it's been proven we are physically wired, mentally, brain-wise, wired for story. And it sticks and it connects. And we see the underlying reasons why. So my inference is there's a good reason for you to consider what is my story as I pitch, or how can I make sure that that's coming through. I'm just going to give you one example. We're not going to play a video. It's just a screen grab, but at my laboratory where I work, there was an opportunity to talk about a fungal garden and learning from leafcutter ants. And the chief scientist that's being funded millions of dollars to do this research, I don't know if you knew this, but leafcutter ants don't eat the leaves. They chop them up, they bring them home, they don't eat them. But you've seen videos and pictures of them marching with so much of that, right? They take care of so much biomass with that. And why? It's because they build a fungal garden. They eat the fungus that comes off of them when they store them down below. Well, being able to help Kristen Vernon-Johnson get ready for the moment of sharing her story of her research and having that connect so well to say, I love the leafcutter ant. I'm learning so much from that guy. And let me tell you why. Because if we can learn what nature's naturally doing, we can learn better foodstuffs ourselves, or better way of processing naturally, and building up bioresources for the future. That's a beautiful story when you sort of make that, bring that home for someone. And she had her opportunity to share it in a TED Talk style opportunity, right? And so I bring that up as a good example because TED Talk styles, you've seen TED Talks probably with lectures and shared resources and stuff. Excuse me. There's a way that they just show visuals, right? They're not giving you text. They're giving you visuals, and they themselves are the message. They're the conveyor of what they want you to know. And they want to build that audience connection through that. So if you look at TED, and you can read up on how they go about it, it's a good discipline about making sure the content is clean and it's presentable. The script is scrubbed and looked at, of course, so that it's good to go. Pretty neat. And of course, Corey Wilder, who was with us full-time with marketing, also had her TED Talk opportunity recently too, so that's kind of cool. All right, remember, you are the message, so let's start thinking about how would you construct a message. By the way, I've been talking a lot. I should pause. Any thoughts or questions before I keep going? I need to make sure I'm checking my time too. Where did I leave? 10:31, thank you. 10:34, thank you. Whew. Now I don't even know where my phone went. I probably left it out there. Okay, any thoughts or questions? You want to get started? Yeah, let's go into this. So I suggest when you're doing a pitch, you're looking at about a 90-second mark, right? 1 to 2 minutes. You could probably go to 2 minutes if you're compelling like that, but that's your mark, 90 seconds. That's not much, but you can be really effective with it, and I have a suggestion for you called the jab and the hook. The hook, of course, is when they're really hooked, right? You've kind of gotten to that point where they have to keep listening. You've done the pitch, okay, and they're hooked. With the jab, what's the jab? It's the attention getter, right? It's the beginning part. Just, if you know boxing, you know what a quick jab versus the big hook that really sinks in the punch. Okay. So I have a few ideas for you. If you'd like to think about this, and I'll go through these three. There are other treatments that you could approach with, but these three I like a lot, and you can do them pretty effectively. The first one is kind of a wonder statement, or wonder with me. Imagine what if. Imagine if we could just do that. Imagine if we could harness the power that we see when we look at this, right? Or imagine if we could learn from the leafcutter ant colony. All these imagine statements, or wonder with me for a second. If you lead off with something like that, you're getting them right into that space with you, right? You're inviting them, and it's like you're serving it up on a good dish for them. Okay, the next one is take the journey. Where, by the way, I'll get to that. So take the journey. You're basically going to just kind of handhold and walk them through a part of your life or your experience, or the project. You're going to take them right into that, and they know you are. They're okay with that because you're guiding them through that. You're a tour guide, and you know we started to explore what would happen if, or we started to wonder. We see this trend, but what if? So we started this project. Let me just kind of take you how we went through that logical process to get there. And then the cliffhanger is also kind of fun. You just leave them hanging. You pose something, and they're just like left in this suspense, you know, this moment. This is a real story, by the way, from my life. My path for work-life balance started when my boss told me it was time for me to leave. And that was after I had pitched to him 3 different ideas of how I could get work-life balance at my job. And he said, it sounds like you need to leave. I was like, oh crap, that is not the answer I was looking for. And that's not what I presented to you. So if I was to start off my story with a statement like that, right? It leaves you in this, wait, how did that happen? You just got kind of slapped in the face, didn't you, right? Or whatever the cliffhanger is, before I take you into the process of making that decision and leading up to that moment. I just kind of just brought you right to the cliff real fast. Okay, when I started off, what did I use? Today, what did I use? Yeah. I used take a journey, yeah. And it wasn't imagine if I could just be there at that edifice where I got married 31 years ago and my daughter was there. Guess what? It happened. No, I actually tried to help you get there with me and brought you into that space, right? Yeah. I used different words. I didn't say we started to explore what would it be like, but the method was to get you into that space with me. Yeah. And of course you're imagining, so the same kind of things apply, but it's the way I got you there with my jab, with my intro. All right, now the hook is where you take it from there. So you've done a setup in whatever method you choose, right? With the imagine statement, with the wonder with me, or the journey, or the cliffhanger, and then you just take it home with, here's what my message is for you today. All right, let me share with you. I love that phrase. You know, here's my message. Kind of sounds a little, I'm going to take it a back seat, and here's the message out there if you want it. But let me share with you as a follow-up to the hook, or to the jab, is like, I'm not leaving you alone. I'm going to take you even further now. Let me take you into the details of this. Let me share with you why that's important. Let me share with you what that impact really could be, right? Okay. I've invited you even more now. All right, so worksheets. I wasn't sure how many people would be here, and I don't have the mass production ability at home to go to Kinko's real fast or whatever and get these. I do have worksheets for you, and I know that's going to be hard to read, so I'm going to have to read them with you. But that's why you have paper. Okay, so what I want you to do is just maybe listen and grab 2 of these that you can comment on right now. If you can grab a picture, that's good too, for sure. I can send these around too if they're easier for someone to see up close. So maybe I'll just try to, you can take that first stack right at the top there. There you go. You could take the next. And I'm going to leave this over here for you. So if you need to take a close-up with that, it's right here. It'll come around. What I want you to do is, and go ahead and take pictures of all of them while you've got them, I guess, because we're going to go through this. So a story map is your own mental process to get ready for the moment. You know that a poster session is coming. You know that pitching for a job is coming. You know that you're going to ask for some funding. You got to get yourself in that space now, right? And I know it's been weighing on your mind, but you got to get into it. So who exactly is the audience in that moment is the first question. There might be a mix, but who are you trying to reach, especially the primary audience? It might be hard to answer that if you don't have good data or awareness, but you got to try. You got to get, because that's your main delivery method, and that's what's really going to connect and land with someone. The next one, so this is a worksheet that you'd just scratch paper. You start just jotting down stream of consciousness thoughts, right? You got to get in that space. The next one, what's your goal with them? Yes, you want to convey information, but that's not good enough, right? What do you want them to do with that information? That's a better question. Like, I'm going to tell you my story, and I want you to pull principles out of that. So when I finished with my little blank photo exercise, you guys were taking principles out of that. You were thinking about what was going on with me conveying that. That was the goal. I wanted you to hear principles through the story. So then the next question would be, why would they even care? Yeah, I could have in mind that they should be taking this information, but why would they even care to listen to me? What's important to them? I got to get to the root of the matter for them. And then you got to anticipate, is there going to be an obstacle? Are they going to be thinking differently than I am in that moment? Are they coming to the table with different life experience? Are they skeptical about the validity of what I'm going to be sharing with them? Are they going to be grilling me about that? Do they have, I hope not, bias in some way or prejudice or whatever it is that just gets them in a different space? I need to anticipate, so those are obstacles I can address. The last one then is, why should they listen to you now? Is there urgency to this message being delivered? If there is, and they need that information, you can tell them that. They need that information. And that helps them to pay attention a little bit better, right? Okay. So, given the time, how about if you take just 30 seconds and write an answer down to 1 or 2 of these real quick. If you haven't already, well, I've been walking you through it. 30 seconds. You can keep writing, but I'm going to ask, who has an audience they could just shout out? You know that you're going to have an audience opportunity. Who is your audience? Who you're planning for? Yeah. People who want to hire you. Yeah. Yeah, good. Yeah, internships. So in both cases, you're going to have probably a group of people that would be considering your application that way, right? Coming from different walks of their work. Yeah. Networking in general. So, yeah, it's important. I want to meet you, and I want you to connect with me, and I think we can go places together. when we're connected. Yeah. Any other audience come to mind real quick? Okay. Now, did you anticipate any obstacle already with that, or is that kind of a hard one so far? I mean, an obstacle maybe for a potential job is they've got lots of options, you know? Yeah, for sure. If, by the way, you know this, or probably, but as you're looking at that job description, apply per the job description, right? Make sure that you are pulling those little nuggets out that you know you can speak to, and in your cover letter, you're already starting to speak to. That gets you invited to the table. You're already sort of pitching through that cover letter the points that they're looking for. And even if you're a little weak in some space, you're trying to address that. You're trying to anticipate that obstacle and address, well, should I be part of the top 10 in this conversation? Because then I can take it further. Okay, the next one, you were asking yourselves again at the beginning of this, why me? Why would they pick me? What do I have to share? What's my story, right? And these questions get you to the thinking around, again, it's all set up before your story, but what about your background brings you to this point? You would say maybe, well, because I got a degree. I went through the process. I did what I was supposed to and got my degree. Now I'm ready, or I should be. And that's not quite good enough, is it, for really conveying a strong case and pitch for yourself? It's a requirement. It's one of those minimum requirements, but it's not the preferred requirement. We're trying to get into, you are the preferred candidate now. Okay, so what drives your focus here? In this subject, meaning what you want to talk to someone about, pitch, get a job about, whatever you want to apply here, what drives you in that space? What compels you? And some people use the word passion. What's your passion? Okay, that's a little strong word for me personally. It's a valid word. I like to think, what's driving me? When I get up in the morning, why do I want to go to work? What do I want to accomplish? What am I compelled to want to do with my team and help them to do? Where's my mentoring opportunity through the day? Those are the things that are kind of compelling to me, right? And I hope you can figure out, draw out with those thoughts. And what authentic experiences can you share? So, again, relevant to this subject, this that you're going to be sharing, what experiences do you already have to bring to bear? And if I just got that opportunity to share a little bit more about that, okay, well, your cover letter could lean into that a little bit, right? It could tease in the right way. I've done some things here, and I've learned, or the better way to say it, I've already seen by doing this, oh, wow, then that person's pretty confident in what they were already doing in that space. So, and those are authentic experiences, don't manufacture too much. You want to be genuine. It's going to come out one way or another. And then what will grab your audience's attention most? So if they've said, or you already know in the poster session that someone's going to come and see the title of your poster and they're going to probably want to ask about this, you want to anticipate it and be ready and address that one head on, right? It's part of your story. Now weave it right back into why you're compelled to be there, why you're the chosen one to be standing in front of that poster or given that opportunity to pitch yourself for a job, right? What will grab their attention most? And those are the nice little keywords or hooks that you plug in. All right, on time. Great. You want to take 30 more seconds to jot anything down so I can leave you in silence for that? Go ahead. Okay, anyone want to offer up what's your driver? What drives you? What's a compelling reason why you do what you do? This should be fun. Yeah. To make your family proud. Good. Yeah, there's nobility in that. That's good. Did you have a thought? Yeah.
I feel the need to empower others to use their voice.
Great. You want to empower others to use their voice. I resonate with that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
I want to help as many people as I can in my day-to-day life.
Great. Can I say why? Can I ask why? Why is that?
I think that I get the most joy out of external stuff. So like, making other people, like, even if it's like just like helping someone get their McDonald's order, that makes me happy.
So you do good favors because you draw joy from seeing joy in others, and I think that's a noble thing. That's great. I can imagine the kind of roles that really fit well with you. Yeah. I want you to say that one more time. It's kind of noisy over there.
I was going to say sharing the knowledge you've acquired and like pushing the field into new areas of knowledge.
Great. Great. I heard more than that. You said innovation, and I love that point. There's an innovative moment when you get to share what you've learned and carry that over to other people that they can build on. Love that. And just the fact that there's a constant learning process that I think you're alluding to there too. Those are good principles too. Yeah. Sharing information in hopes of informing others. Now, any of you that are going into PR, yeah, that's got to be there for you, right? That's important. You believe in the product, you believe in the organization and what the good is that they're trying to convey. That's been more important in the last decade than I ever saw before, to really embrace the brand, be a part of it, be genuine with it, have a purpose together. Did you have a thought too, or I was just trying to sense anyone else? Okay, yes. Say that again. You wanted to? Thank you. It's good to be collegial and a mentor and help that next generation for sure. By the way, the place that I work at, which is a Department of Energy space, it's all about STEM education and building the next generation. If they come and spend just a year with us, great. They've come out better than that, and they'll go into the workforce better because of that, and they'll share that too. It's not like we have to retain everybody. We want to, but we completely embrace the idea that we're mentoring constantly to share. I love that. Thanks. All right, so these are the worksheets too. Imagine this is your space where you, with a dedicated piece of paper, are just kind of putting together what your story, your pitch would be. And I've got this in 3 forms, right? Because of it's the jab, that's the difference. So it's the wonder statement, it's the journey kind of statement, and it's the cliffhanger, right? And notice I switched it a little bit in these phrases just to invite you to think, what's my phrasing? What's my way of leading into these natural statements? I need to not be scripted. I need to be natural. I need to point out and bring people into my personal story and journey. So imagine if you or we could, let me share with you. We started to explore, and I want to tell you about. And whatever that cliffhanger thing is that you want to bring them to, just bring them right to that moment and leave them hanging. I'll show you what we do from here. I'll show you. That's like strong, right? I'm just going to get right there for you and save you from the cliff. All right, so your story pitch. What's our time? I wanted to give time. Yeah, we do. We have time. What do you have to share? What do you think so far is a jab and your continued hook, or I've got them hooked now? This is I'm going to get their attention, and this is where I'm going to go with that, because this is part of my pitch and my story for my opportunity. You haven't had much time to write more like that, but any random thoughts are welcome. Any open thoughts and work in progress thoughts, all open. Yes, thanks. Okay, question. Yeah. Thanks. So yeah, I appreciate that you asked that, because it may seem like these are separate thoughts, and that's not where I wanted to be for you. So her thought was, wouldn't it make sense in the hook part that you reference the story that was part of the jab or the attention getter? Wouldn't that make sense that they're connected some way, that you can reference that? Yes, it should be a flow. It should start with the attention getter. It should go into Well, here's where I want to take you. All right, this is what we're going to talk about today. This is it, and it's related to what you just. I mean, you don't have to say it unless you feel like you should, but what I just grabbed your attention with, let's go further, and I'm going to show you where that matters. Yeah, thanks. Yes. Say that again. Vulnerability. Okay, good. Good question. How effective is vulnerability with the jab, with that opening, attention-getting part? Good question. What's your subject, right? That's part of your consideration. Am I setting myself up well? And am I opening up and putting down barriers by being vulnerable myself? And I bet it's going to be attention-getting for sure by being vulnerable and being open like that. It could win the day about, look, this is me. And as long as you don't kind of maybe disadvantage yourself through that in whatever the opportunity is. But I like the genuine approach. And so vulnerable, that's part of it. They'll sense and appreciate that you're brave enough to go there. Yes?
It would depend upon the audience in that
Yeah.
previous example. So you might advance yourself, say if you were looking at an organization who deals with marginalized people.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you're a teacher who's looking at developmental education
Yeah.
and you're making it so your attention there and your job.
Yeah.
And showing a little vulnerability has relatability to that job description as well.
Thank you. I like that coupling that you just did of vulnerability with relatability in that moment. I think that's important for sure. Made me think about my wife's work is in special ed. A lot of with very kind of more extreme situations in the autism and things that people need to build skills for, right? And she's noted so many people that are in that profession are very relatable with that need. So I can imagine they won the day with their opportunity to work in that space. Okay, any other thoughts? I think we're kind of at a wrap. That was pretty good timing. I hope that was helpful, really. I hope you got a chance to stop, think about yourself, and these questions are prompts for you. You can redo this as many times as you want with those worksheets, and whatever opportunities come your way. It's not just a fixed story, right? You could see different opportunities with different audiences, and what is it about you that they can resonate with? You just got to get them there, and they'll appreciate who you really are. You're the pitch. You're the story. Thank you.